How are my favorite girls in the world doing? I am so excited to announce that today I'm bringing a really special guest to the show. It's been such a long time since I've had someone on, but it makes it even extra special because she has had such a personal impact on my life for the last year. I've worked with her in her membership Body Language, and everything that I learned there is all the tools that now got me to where I am and helped me build back so much of my confidence and helped me now take steps that I would have never taken maybe a year before. So her work is super impactful, and now that nervous system is becoming such a trend, I really think that it's important to have an expertise voice instead of just people who are following the trend. This is someone who literally, like, her entire life is all about this, and she's so passionate, and the way she explains things, like, it really clicks. She has such a special way with words. So I knew that when I wanted to bring this topic here, I already knew that it had to be her, especially because, again, of the personal impact she's had on my life and also other people that I've known. So I'm super excited to announce that today I'm bringing Becca Nicholls into the podcast. She is a somatic and nervous system coach, and she is the host of There She Glows podcast. So you should definitely check those out. Without further ado, I really hope you enjoy it. Welcome, Becca, to the podcast. I am so excited to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
No, of course. As I was saying before, when I thought about having this conversation here on the podcast, because nervous system has been something that it's been very active in my life, but also very trendy lately, like in the online space, in the no, I feel you with the eye roll because it kind of can become a problem to have this be such a big theme that now everyone is talking about, but not everyone necessarily knows what they're saying. And so there's a lot of misunderstandings as well now that it's becoming a more trendy topic. And that's why I knew you were the perfect person to bring to talk about the nervous system regulation. So yeah, I just really want to thank you for being here and taking the time. I'm so excited. And to give context to all the girlies listening, I was in your membership for 6 months, Body Language, which was honestly, like, hands down the best investment I've ever made. Like, it made me feel,
oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, it just made me feel so, like, I don't know, I was in a really dark place because, going through a lot of grief in my life this year, and it really helped me kind of get back on my feet and really, like, understand myself on a deeper level and actually be able to process that grief that, like, it was stored in my body and it was really keeping me from, like, moving forward. And I was feeling so disconnected to myself to the point where all the work I've done in my healing journey, it almost felt like suddenly I was right back to being the broken little girl, and I did not know how to take myself out of that place. So like, being able to invest in that support and having someone that actually knows what they're talking about with the guidance and the support that you've built around the Body Language membership, it's honestly amazing. And every time I use one of the materials inside the portal, the Kajabi portal, it literally was like, this was worth the entire investment, like, of that month, even if I use it just once, like, that one moment really changed the course of, how I was feeling in my body and how I was able to move forward in my life. So having that support consistently, showing up consistently for that work really did impact me so much. And that's why I just really wanted to bring you here as well, for that same reason, to also be able to spread out that conversation and that type of work for other people that maybe don't know why this work is so important, especially now that it's becoming a trend. There's a lot of, just misinformation being spread. And so I think it's just really important. If anyone wants to start this work, I 100% recommend you. Like, that's the only recommendation. That's the only person, only bitch I trust, basically. Like,
thank goodness this is a podcast, because now I'm going to wake up in the morning. I'm going to turn this podcast on. I'm going to listen to this love letter that you just spoke out to me. They're going to be my morning affirmations as I do my EFT tapping. I'm so grateful. That really means the world to me. And I do agree that this is becoming a trend, but for me, it will never be a trend. And when the trend moves on to something else, I will continue to do this work. I really feel like it's my life's calling, and it's just so meaningful to me to hear that obviously I think it's very clear inside of body language and anything that I do pour a lot of time, effort, and energy into that. And to hear that it was so well received and so appreciated by you just fills my heart with joy. So thank you so much for that.
No, of course. I love hyping up my girls, so that's really important to me. But yeah, like now that you're kind of talking about that a little bit, I feel like I'd love to know as well, like what really made you like drawn to this path? Because it's such a specific thing, and also again, like you didn't really discover this when everyone was talking about it. So like,
Yes.
how did you
Yes.
find yourself here, and why was it something that you truly felt drawn to the point where it's now like how you live your life and your everyday and how you help other people in their journeys?
Yeah, I honestly love this question. And I love going down memory lane with this one because when I started my business, I knew that I actually wanted to focus on shadow work, which is something that I do still incorporate very heavily into my work and one specific program called Unmasked. And I was seeing already that I was doing work that was different than other coaches in this space. And I am someone who is a lover of the depths. Like, I am not the surface level conversation girly. I am not the how's the weather girly. Like, that makes me sick to my fucking stomach. Like, I want to talk about the deep stuff. And so with the shadow work, I was already in that. I was already achieving that and experiencing my clients having such massive results with really just human psyche and mindset work alone. And something in my intuition, though, was like, there's something more. There's something that you're supposed to be doing with this to accompany this. And I really wasn't sure what that was. And something that I try to follow in my life is that if it's not that full body fuck yes, and I'm having to talk myself into it, it's a no.
Mm.
And so I started to explore breath work alone and just different things that were out there on the market. And I was like, yeah, like I could see how this could be beneficial, but it's not giving like full body yes. And one day I found myself listening to a podcast that my soon to be mentor was on. Her name is Veronica Rotman. She is Waking Womb on Instagram. And I heard her talking about the nervous system and somatic therapy. And this was back in 2023. And immediately I was just
2023. Oh my
like,
God.
yeah, immediately I was just like, I need to speak with this woman.
Yeah.
And within the week, I was on a Zoom call with her, asking her all the questions. And we decided that it was the best next step for me to get certified as a somatic practitioner. And I learned all about the female nervous system and somatic therapy. But part of the story that I don't tell very often, which is really, really cool, is that even the way that she was doing somatic work didn't feel like the best thing for me. And so I was using my private sessions with her to show her the way that I was experimenting with somatic therapy by myself and getting her to give me feedback on the effectiveness and on the modalities that I was using. And at the time, I was doing a lot of character work, like getting into the character of anger. And I really started there. But the way that I do it, which like starting out with breath and doing nervous system regulation and the music and the vibes, like that is not standard. That is very Becca coded. And so I really flushed that out with her. And so over the years, I've really just made it my own. And I have just such a deep, deep love for the nervous system, learning how to process your emotions and just going beyond talking about things and really bringing it into the body. So that's how we really got started. And now it's just evolved and evolved and evolved and evolved. And I have
Yeah.
my state shifters and I have my somatic therapy sessions. And it's
Yeah.
just evolved into something that I never would have dreamed. And I just can't wait to see how it continues to grow.
And I'm sure it will, because honestly, it's been, I really just don't have words for it. It completely has transformed my life. And I know, obviously, like Lisa, my best friend, also
Yes.
transformed hers. And yeah, it's just a very beautiful, I didn't even know that it was like your own signature journey, but
Yeah.
that makes it even more
I
special.
know.
You know,
Yeah. That makes me love
I,
her even more.
yeah, I love that. And Yeah, I think it's so beautiful that you went through that journey to really figure out like your own process because
Yeah.
especially as like people who are in the coaching world, we tend to want to follow someone else's like, standards or guidelines. And
Yes.
there's a reason why we're meant to be doing this in our unique way. And we all have our own journeys. And so adapting it to our journey, I think that's what makes it special because it will, align and resonate with someone that it wouldn't otherwise if we were trying to like stick to the blueprint of what exactly
Yes.
how we were taught. So I think that that's really special that you like took it as an invitation to like create your own journey with it. I think that's really cool. And obviously like if you started this whole process, I feel like at some point in your own personal journey, this work had to, make a difference in your life, right?
Yes.
That's all how we all start. Like we're in a
Yeah.
place, rock bottom type of moment in our lives, and we just need something to like bring us out or understand or have a deeper understanding of like our emotions or the world
Yes.
to somehow like make ourselves grow because we kind of feel stuck where we are. So how like what was that journey for you?
Yeah. So my life before this life was that I actually worked as a 911 dispatcher. So I would answer 911 calls and I worked for the police. And so I think it goes without saying that I endured a lot of trauma doing that
Yeah.
job and a lot of stress. And I also wreaked havoc on my hormones because I was a shift worker and just, everything. And so I didn't even really realize, of course, without the knowledge that I was in such a chronic dysregulated state until I started to learn about the nervous system. And I'm so at peace with that and saying that because I feel like you have to go through your own journey of embodiment and overcoming things in order to help other people in the most effective and integral way. And what's really interesting is that when I was working for the police, I was also building my business. And the world that we live in today is so focused on results and productivity and stimulation and being a boss babe and not resting and not relaxing. So I think at that time, I really looked at my life and I was like, I'm just super productive. I'm just so driven. Like, I'm just always doing something. I'm just always learning something. And actually, I didn't feel safe to slow down. So when I started to learn about the nervous system, I started to learn that I was in a chronic sympathetic state. I was in fight or flight and I was just always going. And it's so crazy to look at my life then where I was always being stimulated somehow. I was doing F45, which is like a really intense HIIT workout. I was doing an ice bath every single day. I was really just adding like fuel to the fire. Like I was doing nothing to bring myself into a regulated state. And now, oh my goodness, do I live so differently. I'm such a slow living girly. Mind you, like my business is a massive success. You know what I mean? So I want to say that first because
Yeah.
I live so slowly. I love my slow mornings. I love being cozy. I love cooking and baking. I love yoga. I love going for long walks. I love being at a coffee shop with a girlfriend or my mom for hours and hours, and nonetheless, like I'm living this relaxed, peaceful, easeful life while also achieving my goals in all areas. And so I have really shifted to such a relaxed and such a regulated state that a past version of me would have been like, you are lazy. There is no way that you are achieving your goals. Like, how can you feel good about yourself? Like just spending your day, like watching a movie or baking, right? Like I have really shifted. And then on the other side of the coin, being in that industry of the policing world, I would hear and be a part of these calls that were very traumatic and very stressful. And then it would be like, okay, next call. There's calls waiting in the queue. And I got into this routine where there was no time to process your emotions. There was only time to like sweep it under the rug and continue forward. And that's the pattern that I got into. And so I think that's also why I have such a love for helping people understand. I mean, we have a full training in body language where I list out the emotion, I list out what's happening chemically and hormonal, I list out what's happening in your nervous system and the best ways, like a plethora of options of like how to deal with it, because I didn't have that, and I experienced so much sadness and grief and fear and anger and all of the things in that job and also in my life in general, of course. And I had no idea what to do with those emotions. And as a result, they were making me sick and inflamed and uncomfortable. And it shows up for people in all different ways. But I think that was really my journey, both with the nervous system side of things and the emotional side of things. And I wasn't happy. I wasn't settled. And I didn't even know it, because those things are so normal in our society. It's so normal to be dysregulated. It's so normal to not feel well. It's so normal to just mask your emotions. And I unsubscribed from that long ago, and I've never been happier.
I love that so much. I do believe that, like, especially as a woman now, like you're really told to like hustle all the time and kind of go against your own cycle and
Yeah.
your natural flow. And I think that is so like self-abandoning, because we're not really like listening to what our body needs and wants. And then we feel either disconnected or we're constantly on, but we don't actually have our hearts open. And I think
Yes.
learning to understand that and really make room for our emotions, and also like realize that we get to do that and continue to pursue our dreams. Like we don't have to choose one over the other. But I do think that sometimes we have that it's like either or. So
Yeah.
you either like keep on going and you push, or you like go a little and you relax. And if you relax, then you're lazy, then things are not gonna happen. So I think
Yes.
it's also so beautiful that you get to be that like embodiment of that example, that you don't have to choose one or the other. You get to have both.
Yeah.
I think that's really beautiful. And it's interesting because I do think that nervous system regulation, and from what I learned from you, obviously, and also understanding your emotions and like really opening up to them, like those things
Yeah.
go hand in hand, because we are so used to, just like you said, like put it under the rug and ignore, and it feels easier, and it's such
Mm-hmm.
a like kind of a quick fix. And at first you think like you're just pushing through, like this is a waste of time, let's just continue to focus and blah blah. But then that kind of starts piling up, and I think not everyone really understands the consequences of of that. But
Yeah.
then you feel certain blockages in your life in certain areas, or you're trying to move forward and you're not able to, or you're constantly afraid. And that's because there's like these stories that you're still holding on to, not just in your mind, but also in your body, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy the way that people don't understand how intertwined the nervous system and the body is to your life experience. We are so numb from the neck down, and we're so uninformed, which is no one's fault other than, our education system, our world, all the things. But it's interesting. The nervous system, something I always say about the nervous system, which is true, but just really, really important to anchor into. The nervous system is in control of every emotion you've ever had, every behavior you've ever acted out, every sensation you've ever had in the body, every thought you've ever thought, every relationship that you have, your relationship with yourself, the world, romantic interests, colleagues, money, like all of the relationships that you have stem from the nervous system. So it's interesting to me that, and I'm so comfortable saying this, people usually come to me as like a last ditch, like pathetic effort after they've tried to heal themselves, whatever it is that they are dealing with doctors, naturopaths, like quote unquote legitimate people, right? And none of those legitimate people have told them about the nervous system, which is in control of their entire human experience. So then they come to me, they almost classify something that is so biological and science and research backed as woo woo. And they're like, let's go give this woo woo bitch a whirl, right? And see what she can do for me with somatic therapy and nervous system work. And sometimes it truly is difficult for me to decide how I want to market the way that nervous system regulation will impact your life, because there are so many things. There
Yeah.
are so many things. It's like acne, IBS and digestion, relationships, relationship with money, creativity, depression, anxiety. Like it just goes on and on and on. And that makes sense. Like once you understand the nervous system, that makes sense, because when you are living in this state of survival or dysregulation, your body is only prioritizing the things that are vital to your survival. So none of those things, your period, your skin, your digestion, all of it, like none of that matters in the moment. It's just about fleeing and survival. So it's just so interesting to me the way that we are so disconnected from our bodies that we don't even consider it when something goes wrong. And we are always outsourcing to other people, when in actuality, what we need is to understand our own body and how it functions so that we can help it heal and ultimately feel safe. So it really is a mission, a lifelong mission that I am on, to just educate as many people as possible on the nervous system so that they can take control of their life again. Because when you are not in control of your nervous system because of that lack of understanding, you are basically a passenger princess in your own life, which is not a great thing, because your nervous system, when it's driving, it's going to be driving not necessarily in a state of regulation, which is what we want. So in that situation only, we don't want to be a passenger princess.
Exactly. Because you end up kind of like just going through life and you're not really like in control. Like you say you want to go a certain direction, but then you find yourself like self-sabotaging. Like every inch of growth you
Yes.
like take two steps back because you're so scared of like moving forward in that direction. And there's so much there, like the way we handle the unknown, the way we
Yeah.
kind of reteach our bodies to like do something different. Because if we're constantly like going fight or flight, or on the other side of the spectrum, if we're very like passive in our lives, then going into another state can feel really uncomfortable and even
Mm-hmm.
threatening to the body.
Totally. Yeah. Something that I say a lot is that your nervous system will always choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. And I think that's really important, just to rewind 10 seconds and listen to me say that again, because especially if you listen to this podcast, which is about growth, right?
Yeah.
You're wanting to grow probably in so many different areas of your life as a person, first and foremost, maybe as a partner or manifesting a relationship, maybe a career, maybe spiritually, but that's not what your nervous system wants. That's not what your body is wired to. Your body is wired to survival. Your body is wired to stay in your familiar comfort zone, in that familiar hell, right? So every step that we take towards growth, if we don't understand how to make our body feel safe, we're going to be battling against that growth. And it's going to feel like going uphill with a wheelbarrow that's full of a bunch of bricks. Like it's not going to feel easy.
Yeah.
And so when you understand the way that your nervous system is going to respond in those situations that require growth and discomfort, that's how you expand your window of tolerance. That's how you expand your nervous system capacity so that you can continue to grow at a really sustainable, healthy pace and make your body feel safe every step of the way, so that you don't fall into those coping mechanisms, reactivity responses, self-sabotage that's just going to pull you back into that familiar hell. We want to go towards the unfamiliar heaven, because that's where the growth is.
Yeah, because ultimately, like what I'm thinking of is growth is all about expanding, but you don't just expand your capacity to receive by saying like I want more. Your body also needs to expand its capacity to feel safe
Mm-hmm.
in like receiving that more. Because for example, when I was in my 7-year relationship, leaving that was like the best thing ever. But for so long, I battled myself with it because I didn't feel safe on my own, and I didn't know how to feel safe in in this new way of
Yeah.
like being with myself and having to like face all these different things that were underneath. And what really happened with me overcoming that was I really worked on feeling safe with my own emotions and becoming like a safe enough space that at some point I realized like this doesn't resonate anymore. And that was a
Mm.
work that I didn't even know how to name yet. So I do love that we at least are getting more attention on this work. But yeah, that was like really important. You need to kind of expand your capacity to feel safe. I think ultimately that's what it is, right? Because there's, at least that's what I'm seeing right now, there's a big misunderstanding on what being regulated means. And I think a lot of
Mm.
people are kind of like putting it in a bypassing way where, you know, you can't feel negative emotions and you have to feel neutral and like almost numb all the time and
Oh
positive.
my gosh.
Yeah, like enforcing positivity all the time, and I think that's so damaging. And so we kind of just, there's always that thing of trying to fix ourselves. We're trying to be perfect because that's
Yes.
the only way to manifest. That's the only way to receive what you want. And I think now that this nervous system, this stuff is becoming trendy, they're doing it again with this new thing, and I think it's so sad, you know, because
Yeah.
I really feel like I think it's important to kind of understand the difference between, you know, one thing is to be numb and not feel your stuff and pretend to be positive all the time. And another thing is learning how to build safety because it's not necessarily about always feeling good. It might be about actually just letting yourself feel shitty for as long as it's
Yes.
there. If you're ready to enter your most iconic main character era, then you need to stick around and hear this, okay? Before we keep going to the rest of the episode, I want to take a moment to talk about the Girls in Growth Patreon, which is a new addition to our world. And this is the place where you're going to learn to align with your dream life and live like your higher self so that you can attract all the things that you desire. All your manifestations, all your biggest dreams and goals are going to come to life because you are going to become the woman who naturally attracts them. You are going to learn the foundations that are going to make you more confident, more magnetic, and more unstoppable. So definitely go check it out because on Patreon, you're going to receive all the tools, all the practices, all the step-by-step processes that allowed me to come so far in my journey. And I decided to share them all with you inside the Patreon. There's a 7-day free trial available for you if you want to check it out to see if it aligns with what you want and what you need right now. I'm going to leave the link in the description of this episode. Definitely go check it out. I love you.
It's really interesting because I have so much to say on this actually. First of all, being in a regulated state or being happy all the time should not actually be a goal for you. And we do want to be in a regulated state as much as possible. But if you were in a regulated state all the time, it actually means your nervous system is broken, right? And if I, God forbid, find myself in a dangerous situation where there is a threat or something is unsafe, I want my body to shift into those states to help me get away or to help me disassociate or to help me do what I need to do. Like that means that it's working and that is what I want. Being happy all the time as well, I think is just robbing us of the human experience, especially as women. And I think so many women that I talk to want to be more feminine, and my podcast episodes on dark feminine energy and siren energy and the feminine archetypes are our most listened to podcast episodes by a freaking landslide. Yeah. Like women want to be more feminine, and feeling the depths of your emotions is the most feminine, cyclical, honest thing you can do. Like I have no interest in being happy all the time. I want to feel all of those good emotions because it makes me human, and it also helps me appreciate, like when I'm feeling bliss and joy and happiness and pleasure, I can only appreciate those things because I have appreciated the opposite. And so I think one of the most feminine things that you can do and one of the most human things that you can do is just allow all of your emotions to exist and just hold space for them appropriately. When it comes to what you shared about the nervous system and it becoming trendy, I completely agree. And on one end of the spectrum. Where I do sit a lot is that I do feel really happy that the nervous system is getting more attention, and so is the body. And then on the other side, I have seen firsthand the damage that is caused when people put their nervous system and their healing into the hands of someone who was only using that verbiage in their marketing because it is trendy and not because they're actually qualified.
Yeah.
And there are so many things that can happen with this. I mean, first of all, depending on the nervous system state that you are hanging out in the most, you need a specific protocol or specific regulating resources. And what is helpful for someone that is in a state of shutdown, which can really look like depression, is going to be very, very different than someone who was like myself, who was in a state of like fight or flight. So when people are giving this general advice, they're actually pushing people deeper and deeper into a state of dysregulation, which is obviously damaging. From a nervous system regulation perspective as well, our body's ultimate goal is to heal. It wants to heal. And something that happens a lot for me, especially in a private capacity, is that when people start to feel safer and they have more capacity, if you're a visual girly, I want you to imagine a glass of water, right? When you are dysregulated, the glass is full. So you don't have room for anything else. But as you start to take tablespoon by tablespoon this water out, the water starts to lower. As it starts to lower, they say, oh, look, Becca is creating safety. She's creating capacity. Because my ultimate goal is healing, now I'm going to bring forward some of these suppressed memories and emotions so that she can deal with these now that she has a larger capacity, so that we can get closer and closer to being at that like fully healed state. Now, this can be very jarring for people. This was very, very jarring for me personally when I all of a sudden had these memories come forward that I had never thought about, did not even know existed, was honestly gaslighting myself around them of like, where did this come from? I just don't understand. And this happens to so many of my clients. And so maybe it would be in session, maybe it's in the middle of the night, maybe it's on a Sunday afternoon, you know, where they're like, oh my goodness, they're feeling so jarred, they're feeling so unsafe because of these resurfaced emotions or memories that were suppressed. And then when people don't actually know what to do with this trauma and these unexpected memories and emotions, they're at a loss, right? And so I can't tell you how many times I've gotten on like an emergency, in quotation mark, call with clients outside of our times, or I've been in Telegram when I'm supposed to not be in Telegram, you know what I mean? Because things happen when you're dealing with the nervous system, when you're dealing with the body, when you're dealing with trauma or stress, things happen because the body's ultimate goal is healing. And you need to have someone that's going to be able to regulate with you and help you feel safe and help you process your emotions. And so you don't have to work with me, but if you do want to work with someone, I really, really recommend that you ask them what their qualifications are, what their education looks like, what their certifications look like, so that you can make sure that you're putting your body and your nervous system into the hands of someone who can truly, truly hold space for you. You know, in Wicked, when they say like holding space for this, holding space for this,
Girl.
like that's all I think about now. If I ever say holding space, I'm like, holding space for this.
Yeah. I've been in my Wicked era, so
literally I need to go see it.
oh my God, stop. Like one of those demonstrations, like I literally started the movie like 1 minute in, I was like bawling my eyes out. And I kept going throughout the 2 hours, just like crying and crying and crying. Like,
what a somatic therapy session that was for you.
That really was. I was just like, all my grief, all my pain from the past, I don't even know where that came from. It was like flowing through, and I was like, okay, I'm just observing at this point. There's nothing I can do. So yeah, like honestly, just thinking about it, I want to cry again. But I think this is so beautiful because, you know, for example, like I'm currently in therapy, and I've been through therapy in the last year because I realized that I did need that support. But I also know that there's a lot of therapists and, you know, psychologists and all of that understand the mind part, but they don't really have that connection with the body. And so for me, it was actually really important to have that membership and the body language while I was doing therapy at the same time. And thankfully, my therapist is genuinely amazing. amazing. And, she does have the like right mindset and perspective on these things. She was super supportive of me doing that body work as well on the side.
Mm,
And so it was so important for me to pair those two things, because when you're starting to open up that vault of like stuff that you've hidden from your entire life, like you open that door, everything is coming out, one way or
yeah.
the other, like things are just coming out. And like you said, like you get random flashbacks, you start feeling emotions that like were stored inside of you and you don't even know where they're coming from, but you
Yeah.
suddenly just want to cry and you don't even know why. And learning to really make space, hold space for it.
Hold space.
Learning to really hold space for that and just feel it, because ultimately that's what it means to hold space. Like, in case
Yes.
it's an abstract concept, it's literally just that. It's allowing yourself to feel your emotions instead of like storing them in again. But it can be hard to do that when you don't have the certain like the right tools to do so. And when you think that like, oh, I'm feeling, I don't know, I'm feeling like anxious, let's go for a run, let's like start pumping my heart. And
Yeah.
maybe that's not exactly what you need. Like you said, like there's different things that are going to work for different phases of where you are emotionally and physically. And I think that's why it's so important to really trust the right people, which is why obviously I'm bringing you here as reference.
Yeah.
Because I have seen, unfortunately, like I have seen a lot of people suddenly talk about like like nervous
Literally.
system, and I'm genuinely like, I trusted you. Why are you talking about this without
Why
like,
are you doing this? You're ruining
yeah,
my relationship with you. No, I've had the same experience, and it is disappointing, but I'm already starting to see it fade,
yeah,
because I think when things are not truly aligns for you and you're putting on an act, it's so unsustainable. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I so agree with you that people don't know what to do to process their own emotions. And something that sucks to hear is like going for a run, going to the gym, calling a friend, journaling, all those things like is not processing your emotions. And people don't like to hear that, right? But it's not. And it can be intimidating for sure, because it really is a lesson to be learned. Like there is a whole training, as I mentioned, inside of body language of like breaking down every single emotion, like your primary and secondary emotions, and what do you actually do? You have to learn about it. And so it was really interesting when I was in Austria earlier this year. I was talking to my long distance bestie's boyfriend and talking to him about the work that I do. And he was like, this literally sounds like a driving school for emotions. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you just give me my new tagline, my new motto, because these are things that if we had a class in elementary or high school, like would have taken the full semester to kind of break down, this is what this is and this is what you should do with it. And this is emotional suppression and this is emotional expression and this is how you should deal with this. Like it takes a lot to learn it, but it's so worthwhile. Like I just love to see the way that people feel in their body and in their lives once they are regulated and once they are emotionally intelligent. Like it makes such a difference. It has for me, and you've mentioned that it has for you as well. And so it's just really beautiful to see what can happen when you're willing to put in the time and the effort and the energy and the money to learn about like neck down, because so many people are overdeveloped in talking about things and analyzing things, but they have no idea anything about their body or their nervous system. And so I think it's really time to bridge that gap.
Yeah, no, and I really resonate with that because I'm an overthinker. I've always been an
Yeah.
overthinker. So analyzing emotions is literally like, first of all, my favorite pastime, but it's also like the easiest thing ever. I can literally like tell you everything about my emotions, and feeling them, that's like a different story. Like, what do you mean feeling them? I don't need that. I understand them. That's good enough. But so like I love what you're talking about with processing your emotions, because I don't think people necessarily understand like what that even is. Like, how do you do that? Because it's
Yes.
so so automatic to shove it aside. It's so automatic to like put a label on it or an explanation. And again, that's not really feeling your emotions. So something that I actually started doing when I was in body language was when I'm feeling, and I'm still doing it nowadays. It's like when I'm feeling something, my first instinct is to ignore it 100%. It still is like I
Right.
find myself still wanting to do that or like scrolling on my phone or just like, yeah, let's keep going. That's right. And then I'm like, have this like, actually, my guides are constantly like, oh, what are you doing?
Hello?
Okay, fuck. Can't run away anymore. So what I do
Yeah.
is I just set it like a 10-minute timer. I literally sit in complete silence. And the first thing I do is
Yes.
just let myself feel whatever's there and really understand like, okay, what am I actually feeling? And like my chest is tight, or I'm having a hard time breathing, or I'm feeling tension in my shoulder. Like just that feels like it's already kind of opening a doorway to for
Yeah.
that to be expressed through the body. And then I would say, and you can obviously correct me, but then I would say that's when you learn how to express that in your body. Like
That's right.
once you understand that emotion, like, okay, maybe I need to do some shaking, or maybe I need
Yeah.
to do some tapping, right?
Yes, I'm so proud of you, first of all, because sitting with your emotions is like the last thing that people want to do, right?
Yeah.
And you said it, like we will feel anxiety or grief or whatever it is, and we will scroll or we will emotionally eat or we will numb ourselves out. We will start watching a show. We will do anything. Like, it's like, good Lord, anything, alcohol, drugs, like we will do anything but sit.
Yes.
Sitting in silence can be so hard for people. And actually, depending on who you are listening to this, that may be too intense for you starting out, right? So just play with it a little bit. But I love, love, love that you sit. And then, yes, you're absolutely correct, because once you sit with it, you're going to be able to understand, like, does this feel a little bit more like anxiety or some excess energy that's in the body and maybe I should get it out? Or does this feel like a part of me that really needs to be seen and really needs to be held? And can I give myself some method of self-soothing, or is it something else? Right. And
Yes.
we don't know that. Like, a lot of the time, if I just went and asked like Joe Blow on the street, like, what does it feel like in your body when you're angry versus when you're feeling anxiety? He's like, like, can you pass me a beer? Like, I don't know. Right. Like, people have no idea what it
Yeah.
actually feels like. And so
Yeah.
once you start to tune in, then you can be like, okay, this is anxiety. Okay, this is grief. Okay, this is anger. And then you know what to do with it, right? You have like this list of options of things to do with it. And it really doesn't take that long. Like, you can spend like 10 minutes or less just sitting with an emotion and just doing a little process, and then it's over,
Yeah.
versus shoving it down into your body and then experiencing like mental or emotional or physical illness or disease later down the road. I'll never ever forget where, when I grew up, there were these Lululemon bags that people would carry around, and it would always say like one of the biggest things on there was stress is the cause of 99.9% of all illnesses. And I always
Yeah.
just remembered seeing that when I was young. And now I'm just here and I'm like, of course I'm in this profession. Like, I believe that wholeheartedly. Like, a low stress life is the solution to so many of the problems that you are experiencing. And it really is so much easier than you may think.
Yeah. I really love that perspective. I think for me, that was also such a big discovery when I realized, like, because it makes so much sense. Like, automatically, I think you comprehend it because you've experienced it in your life. Like, you know what sickness feels like, whether
Yeah.
that's emotionally or mentally, but you feel it and it corrupts you, it corrupts your body. And so I think I've also felt the healthiest now in this phase of my life because I'm learning to process those emotions. And again, that stress isn't like chronically there all the time.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's really interesting because with processing your emotions, at least I've had certain ones that it's like as soon as you sit with it for a little bit, suddenly like it's gone, it just dissipates because all it
Yeah.
wants is to be felt for that moment. And suddenly yeah, it's done its job, it has shown me what I
Yes.
need in some capacity, and then that's it. And there's also other ones that for people that maybe resonate with it, that maybe they feel a bit bigger because there's stories already attached to it, because there's a lot of
Yeah. Yeah.
depth in them. And then that's like kind of the work of like, as soon as that emotion shows up again, you make space for it. And maybe it's not completely gone after the 10 minutes that you sit down, but just the fact that it's like slightly like you're making space for it a little bit more, or you're soothing yourself a little bit, just like creating that space over and over again, and that
Mm-mm.
repetition, I think ultimately it will like create that outcome of, okay, at some point this is not going to be so relevant anymore because you're like processing over time.
Yeah, I think I'm super straightforward and I can come across blunt sometimes, but I think to the people that are listening to this, you know your current cycle, right? You know if you're an overeater, if you are an emotional eater, if you are a scroller, if you are a substance user, if you are a venter, like that's your routine.
Yeah.
How are you feeling, right? In your life? Like, how are you feeling? And that's your answer, because your current habits are making up who you are, how you feel, how you move through life. If you're not feeling like a happy, healthy, content, regulated version of yourself, that's not working for you, right? And that's the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So when we introduce something new, like sitting with yourself, or just starting to learn about the nervous system and the body in whichever avenue feels best for you, you're interrupting your pattern, and you're introducing something new. And that's going to lead to new results. And one of the ways, or one of the reasons why that feels like something you don't want to do, is what we've already talked about, is that your body wants you to stay in that familiar hell. Maybe you don't like the way that you feel, the relationship that you're in, the body that you're living in. Like maybe you don't like all of those things right now, or just one of those things, but you're probably not going to feel too jazzed at the idea of changing it, because that's your familiar hell. That's where your body wants you to stay. So if you're taking a look at your life and you're not feeling totally happy or fulfilled, where can you interrupt your current habits and patterns, and how can you introduce in something new to bring you to a new level of joy and fulfillment and peace
Yeah.
and health? And I mean, that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing over here. And I'm
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah. And I think that also requires you to be so like honest with yourself. And that's
Yeah.
something like obviously like we run away from, because again, it means that we need to also take accountability for where we want to
Mm-hmm.
go. And that's not pleasant. And I'm sure a lot of people in your
Yes.
asked feel that way, I'm sure. Because like shadow work can be tough like that. But I think
Yeah.
it's so empowering to ask yourself like the hard questions, and actually looking at yourself not from a place of judgment, but from a place of like, I get to change this, and I get to
Yeah.
choose better for myself, not out of hatred but out of love, because I genuinely do want to give myself the best life. And I think for me, like with these past months, again, there were so many stored emotions, and starting to process that also opened up space for that self-reflection, because you're trying to change everything all at once while you're still like holding so much in your body. Like there's no
Mm-hmm.
space there. So really learning how to process emotions and feel all these things, feel the grief, feel the anger, the frustration, the fear, all of that allowed me to start like asking myself these questions and not feel completely like terrified about them to the point where I would run the other way again and like kind of ignore or gaslight myself into like,
Yeah.
no, never mind, like that doesn't matter, right? So I think that was such an important like step for me. It was okay, like now I'm feeling like a bit more grounded in myself. I feel like I'm building this connection with myself that feels more secure. I think that's so
Yeah.
important. Like it's something that I talk a lot about, like learning to feel solid and secure in who you are and the relationship you have with yourself. And I mean, we cannot do that without this work, right? And so having done that in the past couple of, not even a couple of months, but more than that, but a few months,
Yeah.
already opened up enough space that now I get to realize like, okay, in these areas of my life, I'm not feeling really fulfilled, or there's things here that are not working for me because I keep doing them and they keep making me feel like shit. So how can we like
Yeah.
transform this and adjust? And it's a self exploration, but how can you explore if you're constantly like, feeling on edge about everything, or if like each step that you take feels terrifying to the point where you like freeze yourself and you don't want to like move, right? So
Yeah.
really learning to find that relaxed, regulated mode, like I think it's so important to be able to gain that space to move forward.
Yeah. And it opens up, just like you said, so many, like everything just changes. Because when you're in a dysregulated state, your prefrontal cortex is either very, very reduced in activity or offline. Your relationship attachment style is going to be different. So you're going to be going after your pattern and thinking
Yeah.
that it's your type. Your health is going to be so, so different because you're in survival mode. So your body doesn't care about metabolism or any of that stuff. And so in every single pillar, in every single facet of life, it changes once you get out of survival mode and into a regulated state. Like you look at everything differently and you see your results are going to change so much. And just even some of the shares that you would have seen in body language, and some of those I've shared, like even Lisa, right? She shared with us at one point that when she joined body language, she was just like scrounging up. Like she was just like, I'm kind of putting myself at the edge to invest in this. And then 3 months, I think that was, into body language, she was making 6 times more in
Yeah.
her business than she was when
I,
she started. And she was just
yeah.
creating safety in her nervous system. Like it's insane the
Yeah.
way that everything changes because you're able to see it through a new lens and experience it from a new lens when you're not in that state of survival anymore. So the results are so endless. And I'm so biased, obviously, but I feel like if I could choose one thing, for every single person to focus on in their life, this would be it, because everyone deserves this education. And to me, it's just so unfair that like so many people are moving through the world and they don't understand the one thing that controls their entire human experience
Yeah.
in their every moment of their life. And so, yeah, I just pray that this continues to come to light and that people choose the right people to guide them into this education and into this work so that they can experience a better life. And I'm just going to continue to do my part to serve all the people in my community that I'm supposed to be with and interact with. And then, yeah, just trust that everyone will find what they are supposed to so that they can live a regulated life, because we are having the best time.
Yeah. Oh my God. And honestly, like seeing Lisa grow, and I guess myself as well, like
Yes.
it's crazy, it really is. I'm so proud of her. And I'm also learning to be proud of myself as well. Sometimes I can be really harsh with myself, and she's always reminding me, girl, like you literally moved abroad. You did this and this and this and that. Like,
Yes, you've done so much too.
I've done all those things, didn't I? But so I think it's so beautiful that you are doing this work and the impact that you've had. I'm sure it's going to continue to like spread out, because it starts with one person and then another and then
Yes.
another. And I think this is just beautiful, and that's why I really wanted you to be the voice for this conversation, because whether this continues to be a trend or it dies out, like it doesn't matter, because this work continues to be relevant. And for all the girls
Yes.
that didn't know about it, or maybe they've heard about it but they didn't really understand it, I think it's so beautiful that they have this conversation to come back to. And on that note, I'm curious, like, what would you say to someone who is just starting out? Like, what would you say is important for them, as a first step into a more regulated life?
I mean, you can always start with free resources, right? And even if you were to go to my podcast, There She Glows, and type in the nervous system or nervous system into the directory, we have some episodes that would be good for you to listen to. And so maybe starting to spark your interest that way through different books or different podcasts. But obviously, I am really biased, but I honestly think that if you're starting out and wanting to learn about the nervous system and somatic therapy, body language is a really great place to start. It's a low investment offering. There's an education portal, somatic therapy, state shifters, EFT tapping, meditations, a group chat, like a monthly call. There's just so much there. And so I'm just a really big advocate for doing things right and also doing things effectively. And I think that going into a space like that where you are supported and guided by a professional and have so many tools available to you and have so many trainings available to you, it really is life changing. So unfortunately for me, I've never really found a book that I've been like, oh my gosh, like this answers all of my questions. This is so profound and amazing. And so I feel like I'm noticing all of these gaps in the nervous system and somatic space. Like even with books that everyone recommends, like The Body Keeps the Score and stuff like that, like yes,
Yeah.
incredible, but like so heavy to read. And so I really like to present the information that can be very heavy and very sciencey in a digestible way where you're not like falling asleep and like having to slap yourself in the face to stay awake during the training. You're actually like engaged. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's one of the things that I would recommend, but you could always start on the podcast and just learning a bit about the nervous system. I have a podcast episode about like 10 sneaky signs that you're dysregulated and then a nervous system 101. So that could be good. And then if you feel like your intuition is guiding you towards doing this work on a deeper level, then maybe you explore some somatic practitioners on Instagram or myself, and my DMs are always open as well.
Yeah, oh, I love this so much. No, I 100% recommend body language, and I'm gonna leave the link in the description, by the way.
Yay!
Of course. Also, I want to talk about because I know you're doing a retreat soon. So,
Yes.
like, how is that gonna help the girlies? Is that I'm guessing it's
Yes.
related to this work, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Oh, totally. I mean, first and foremost, like at its core, women really do benefit from co-regulation. We are not supposed to heal and regulate in isolation. We're supposed to
Yeah.
heal in a tribe setting with other women. So oftentimes beyond, of course, the incredible workshops that I provide and the experience that I'm very much committed to providing to people, being in a space with other safe, like specifically curated and selected women is so healing to be in that space. I'm so excited. But yeah, last year we went to Costa Rica. This year we're going to Tulum. We have so many different locations that are on our list of where we want to host hot and healed retreats. And we really do a lot of somatic therapy and breath work and nervous system regulation and workshops that really combine everything. So originally, I started out as a life coach and I'm certified as a neurolinguistic practitioner, so the subconscious mind. And then obviously, I have my somatic practitioner certification, so the body and the nervous system. So in the workshops, especially when we're in person, I just love to pull on all of those things like mind, body, spirit, and whatever it is that we are working with on this retreat. We're going to be working with visibility and receiving and dark feminine energy. I like to infuse all of those things. And then obviously, the element of nature and community is naturally infused in there as well because of the location and because of the setting. And so I'm so excited. And last year I did my first ever retreat and I was just like, yep, it just became so clear to me that that was going to be a part of my work and my yearly calendar. And yeah, I'm really looking in 2026 to continue to add in more in-person elements in places that we didn't necessarily think that it fit before, but it is just so potent to be together in person, especially knowing that we really are in a midst of a loneliness pandemic. Like people really need to be in
Yeah.
community with people.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited and I leave really soon.
Oh, that's so exciting. Honestly, there's nothing more beautiful and healing than community. So I think this is
Seriously.
so good, the work that you're doing with the retreat. I'm really excited to see like the women transform after it
Me
because 1 week
too.
of working with you is transformational, I'm sure. So
Aw,
yeah,
you're
thank
my
you
hype girl.
so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This was such a lovely
Yeah,
conversation. So
I
thank you so
really enjoyed
much.
myself. I really enjoyed myself. Thank you for coming. And yeah, I'll leave all your information obviously in the description. If there's anything that you want to invite the girls to, yeah, just let me know now.
Yeah. So I'm really active on Instagram at Beck Nicholls. So Becca without the A. And then I have my website, www.beccanichols.com. And then also have my podcast, which is called There She Glows. And every Thursday there's a new episode. So any of those avenues, we also have a quiz on my website because I do have a couple offerings. So if you are curious or unsure about what would be the best fit for you, highly recommend taking that quiz. And you can also email at hello@beccanichols.com or assistant@beccanichols.com and we would be happy to assist you.
Yes, I love this. Thank you.